Hi everyone. So I hope everyone had a great and happy weekdays ahead. So kumusta kayo? Hi sir, hi classmates. So for this afternoon, I will be discussing or naputol na topic. So but before that, I will introduce myself first to you. So I am Maria Angelica Rejas. I am an alumna of UM Tagum batch 2015 under VSBA program major in Human Resource Management. So luckily, I was able to land in the field I studied. So currently, I am already 5 years in my HR career. So marami na din po akong mga na-experience na mga job before I landed or let me say before I became part of the company I am in right now. So I am employed in Rose Pharmacy Incorporated as an HR executive handling the area of Eastern Visayas. Okay, so enough for that introduction moment. Now, I'll be continuing the under this course. So, industrial relation and labor laws. Okay, for this afternoon, I will be talking about three things only. The first one is bargaining. The second one, I'll be talking about collective bargaining. And the third one is the contract administration. So looking at this picture and the words with them, I am really sure that you are familiar with this because in our daily life, nami-meet din natin sila. Bargaining, we meet, nai-encounter natin siya. Collective bargaining, maybe na-encounter na din natin siya. Previously, sa ating mga topics, na-encounter na natin siya. But in our daily life, I believe somehow na-encounter na natin siya. And then contract administration, this is really very familiar to us. But for this afternoon, we'll be going to talk about this a little bit deeper. Okay, so before that, let us go first in definition of terms. So we have here negotiation and bargaining. Okay, so in bargaining, it says here, according to the dictionary, according to Mr. Google, bargaining is an agreement between parties settling what each gives or receives in a transaction between them or what course of action or policy each pursues in respect to the other. Okay, so as we can see here, bargaining is an agreement between parties, while negotiation, okay, as you can see sa picture, there are two boys who are really happy, no? They have that big smiles on their face. So with the word na nasa paligid nila, deal, deal. Okay, so what is negotiation means by that? Okay, so negotiation says here, according to Mr. Google pa din, strategic discussion that resolves an issue in a way that both parties find acceptable. And also, in negotiation, each party tries to persuade the other to agree with his or her point of view. So, as we can see, negotiation, it is a strategic discussion that resolves an issue. That resolves an issue. Sorry for that. Okay, usually, or as we can see, one of the biggest confusing words along with negotiation is bargaining. Actually, as I observe, most of the people define bargaining or refer bargaining as a synonymous with negotiation. Yun siya. So usually nakikita ko siya parang kino-connect nila yung dalawa. When we say bargaining, parang nagiging synonym niya yung negotiation. Or when we say negotiation, parang nagiging synonym niya yung bargaining. But actually, to tell you honestly, bargaining and negotiation are two different things. Because bargaining is very different from negotiation. Kaya yun nga, like what I've said, they are two different thing. Because as you can see, bargaining is an agreement between two or more parties. While negotiation, on the other hand, is a discussion that involves consideration and deliberation over multiple issues of a deal. Yan siya. So, just like what Mr. Google said, it is a discussion that resolves an issue. So, yun siya. In bargaining, wag na lang po tayong ma-confuse. In bargaining, the very difference of these two is that, for us not to be confused, is bargaining is an agreement between parties, while negotiation is a strategic discussion that resolves the issue. Negotiation is a discussion, while bargaining is an agreement. So again, bargaining and negotiation are two different things. Hindi po sila synonymous. Okay, so klaro? Clear po ba tayo? Okay, now let's proceed. Let's go on to the negotiation process. Yes, negotiation has a process. Okay, so first of that is preparation. Of course, in negotiation, we have to prepare kasi negotiation, this is composed of two or more people, two or more group of people. So in management, in a labor union, composition po siya ng labor union or ng labor union representative and the management. Okay, so and the labor representative, madami po sila, that is composed of officers. Usually yung sumasali po kasi sa sa mga meetings are the labor representative or the labor officer. Rose Pharmacy, just to share with you, Rose Pharmacy is a unionized company. May-union po kami. Yung union po namin are the ALU or the Associated Labor Union. So usually when we have a meeting, yung nagpupunta po as a representative of the union are the officer, their president, their vice president, and usually kasama po nila yung union director nila. So yun. So aside from the union officer, they have with them also their directors, yung mga officers din po ng union mismo. Okay? So balik po tayo, preparation. So in negotiation, both parties have to prepare for that negotiation. Okay, after that, we also have here the arguing. When we say arguing, hindi po ibig sabihin na kailangan po nating mag-prepare ng pag-aawayan. When we say arguing, it is the process wherein parang pinag-aaralan po na, in this process, pinag-aaralan yung mga bagay na prepare. Kasi in preparation, there are already things that we are preparing. The possible can arise an opposition with each other. So in arguing, pinaprepare po yan. Pinaprepare yung mga bagay or hinahandal in advance yung mga bagay that can arise an opposition. And then after arguing, we also have here signaling. So sa signaling, this is just a short phase. Parang we are giving a signal to go on. So the officer, the union representative will give, okay, so are we done with this? Can we move on to the next discussion? So ganyan po siya sa signaling. And then after signaling, we have here proposing. So after that, after the representative or after the management will give a signal to go on, kasi depende po yan, nag-agree po kasi yan. So after that, kapag ka nag-go signal na, we have here the proposing. So nag-propose na po yung both parties. Usually si union officer, or usually yung nagtatalk po kasi is that the union president. So the union president will discuss or will propose a thing. For example, the union president will propose excuse me, sorry for that. So, union president will propose a thing. For example, he or she will propose for a salary increase or a training allowance, things like those. So, nagpropose siya. After proposing, we have here packaging. So in packaging process or in packaging level, it is the time we're in, ginogroup na po yung mga bagay na na-propose. Kasi in proposing, hindi lang isang bagay yung lumalabas. There are really a lot of things. For example, based on experience sa negotiation na na-handle namin with our union, may mga propose sila that they want an educational fund, para mga ganon. May mga training po kasi sila, so pinopropose nila yon, gusto nila na ibigay sa kanila. So aside from the salary increase, aside from the uniform na hinihingi nila, meron din pong mga ganon na mga bagay. So educational fund, yung mga training fund. So after that, na na-propose na po siya, pinote into table. So that's the time that we go on packaging or grouping yung mga na-propose na mga bagay. So after packaging, after grouping those stuffs, we have here the bargaining. So in packaging, there is no agreement pa kasi, parang grino pa po siya. And then in bargaining, we already have here discussion about the things that was put into table. For example, the union will said, okay, you have to give me an increase this year. Let me say, give me 5% increase. But the management, kung hindi niya kaya, she will also bargain. So sabihin niya, hindi ko kaya yan. So pwede ba nating babaan? I can only give you 3% increase in your salary because bumaba yung sales natin due to pandemic. So para mga ganon. Or let's say, for example, the union representative will tell, give me an additional set of uniform because kulang na yung binigay mo sa akin. And the employer will tell, or the management will tell, I cannot give you that because yun siya, kulang tayo sa budget. So para mga ganon. And then there are also things that sasabihin, in fact, gusto ko ng ganitong fund, gusto ko bigyan mo ako nito, and the management will tell, I cannot give you that, but I cannot give you this. So in bargaining, there is an agreement. So yung definition natin kanina, bargaining is an agreement. So in other words, in negotiation, bargaining is part of the process. And then after that, after they bargain and nag-agree na yung both side, that's the time that we close the agreement. So, case closed. Okay, so in negotiation, we also have different types of approaches. So we have here the win-lose negotiation. We also have the lose negotiation. We have the compromise and the win-win negotiation. Now, in win-lose negotiation, as you can see there, the other party wins and then the other party loses. So this is very common, no? This is the time where minamanipulate, one party will manipulate the other para makuha yung gusto niya. And then, I know that this is very familiar to us kasi nangyayari talaga to. So the other party will try his best to manipulate para makuha niya yung gusto niya. So yun yung approach na yun. And then we also have here the lose negotiation approach. So in this approach, wala pong nananalo. So both sides ay natatalo. For example, in a negotiation, the company or the employer wants a salary increase. But due to the let's just say, mababang sale, hindi siya mabibigay ng management because siya mismo is nalulugi. So that's one of the example of the lose-lose negotiation. Both parties, hindi nila mabibigay yung gusto ng isa't isa. They cannot they cannot have what they wanted because pareho silang lugi. So that's the example of lose situation. So in compromise naman, this kind of approach or nag-exist siya na siya, what do you call this one? Parang compromise approach it was being built para maiwasan yung lose-lose approach. So in compromise, for example, going back to our example, the employer wants or demands, the union will demand for a salary increase, then the employer cannot give it because wala siyang mabibigay kasi nga bumaba yung sales niya. So the management will compromise or will make an agreement para hindi naman malungkot or parang hindi naman talaga siya totally lose. So sasabihin ng employer, okay, sige, I cannot give you that one, hindi kita mabibigyan ng increase, but I promise na bibigyan kita ng increase by the next year. Or I can give you this. Parang ganun. So parang kino-compromise na hindi man niya mabigay yung gusto ng union or ng opposing party, maibibigay naman siya na kapalit nun. Okay, so, and then ganun din siya sa other side. So they will compromise. Pagbibigay sila ng bagay or they will give an alternative way para makuha pa din nila yung gusto nila. So that is the compromise negotiation approach. And also we have here the last is the win-win negotiation approach. Okay, so in this kind of approach, both parties achieve their goal. So for example, also in the negotiation, in a negotiation, when the labor union or when the labor representative wants a salary increase, but the employer cannot give it, they will really find a way to negotiate with it. So sasabihin employer, I cannot give you yet what you wanted, but maybe I can give you as long as you will give me a higher sales. And so the labor representative will tell, okay, I can give you that. And yun, so tumaas yung sales. So gusto ng management na tataas yung sales niya. So she will demand for a additional job or yun, dagdag na productivity kay employer. In return, bibigyan niya ng additional na sale. Additional na sweldo or dagdag dun sa salary niya. So in that case, both parties gain what they want. So parang nasatisfy sila both sides. Okay, so that is the 4 approaches to negotiation. Now let's move on to the next topic, which is the collective bargaining. Okay, collective bargaining. Collective bargaining, as being defined by Google, it is an ongoing process of negotiation between representative of workers or the labor union and the employers to establish the condition of employment. So collective bargaining, ongoing process of negotiation. Kasi in a collective bargaining, mataas po siya na process, hindi po siya one day. So there are really things na kailangan siyang i-discuss. Kaya siya ongoing process of negotiation, ongoing process of discussion of things. So as you can see, there's a picture. We have here salaries, employment, health, law, wages. So lahat po ng yan, lahat ng words na nakapalibot kay collective bargaining are the things na kailangang i-consider sa discussion. Okay, as you can see, there's a picture. There are pictures na handshake, so which means parang they are happy that they close the deal. So yan siya, nakikita nyo, may mga wages, mga ganon, mga process, mga negotiation, working hours. Kasi that are really basic, that are really the things na nare-raise during the negotiation or during the discussion process. Okay, so it was being joined by the management representative or yung management ng company and the representative ng labor union. So this is the ongoing discussion between two parties to achieve what they wanted or what they demanded rather. Okay, so we have here types of collective bargaining. So may mga types po pala yung collective bargaining. Okay, so we have here the distributive or conjunctive. We also have the integrative or cooperative. We also have the productivity bargaining. And then, fourth, the composite bargaining. And lastly, we have the concessionary bargaining. Okay, now let's talk about it one by one. We have here the first one is the distributive or conjunctive bargaining. So as you can see in the picture, one is happy, one is not happy. Because yun nga, may isang nanalo, may isang natatalo. So it is considered as the most common type of bargaining. This type in which one side wins and the other teams loses completely. So yun nga, this is very common, no? Sa isang negotiation, may nananalo, may natatalo. Okay, just to give a very common example in a distributive bargaining. Okay, so when we go to mall, when we go to Changi, pwede tayong mag-bargain, pwede nating kausapin yung, pwede nating kausapin sa seller na, uy, suki, pwede ba, ito na lang, ganitong price na lang yung ibigay ko sa'yo instead of ganyan. So, in that bargaining, nanalo si buyer, and natalo si seller, kasi na-bargainan siya. But on the contrary also, kung i-compare natin siya kung pumunta tayo sa mall, we cannot bargain for a price because the price is already fixed. So in that case, the buyer wins, the buyer lose, but the seller wins. So parang ganun siya ba? Parang yung isa talaga is nanalo and then yung isa natatalo. And this is really very common. Okay, and then the next type of bargaining, we call it as integrative or cooperative bargaining. So both sides are trying to reach a mutual decision which is beneficial for both of them. It is called a win-win situation. And then another thing, as being defined by Google, sa integrative or cooperative bargaining, both parties address and share information about their beliefs and interests and also possible hurdles that they will have. So both parties here are assessing yung need ng other party. So by that, parang ina-assess nila ba kung gaano ba siya kakailangan. So o kung gaano ba siya ka-crucial. For example, in a management, for example sa isang CBA, management and employee want a higher sale kasi yun naman talaga yun eh. Basically, yun talaga yung parang nag-a-arise, yung common issue, they want a salary increase. Okay, so the labor union or the labor representative will tell the management, okay ma'am, since ganito, so pwede mo bang dagdagan yung salary ko? So, sasabihin naman ng employer, bakit? So parang tinatanong niya bakit. And then the employee will talk about this and then usually kasi both parties in this integrative or cooperative bargaining, they have a common goal. They have a common goal. So one of the common goal here in a company is that they want a higher sales. So when they want a higher sales, they will really negotiate on how they can achieve this one. So sasabihin ng union representative, I want a higher sales. Ma'am, I want a higher sales. And sasabihin din ng employer, I also want a higher sales. So bakit mo ba gusto ng higher sales? So sasabihin naman ng union representative, because if I have a higher sales, magkakaroon, I can ask for an increase. So, siya, sasabihin naman ng employer, okay, I will give you an increase as long as tataas yung sales natin because I also wanted that. So in that situation, both of the both the management or both the company and the labor union can achieve their goals. Yan siya. So, nakukuha ni management yung gusto niya, nakukuha din ng representative, ng union representative or ng labor union team yung gusto nila. So, that is integrative and cooperative bargaining. Both parties want a common goal and they assess, and there is an assessment for both parties. Next is we have a productivity bargaining. So this is a form of collective bargaining in which increases of pay are secured in return for changes in working practices which allow labor productivity to be raised. So yun siya, no? It is very clear. In productivity, there is a demand for higher productivity. But in return, they will give a salary increase. So yun. And this is common also. Dadagdagan yung trabaho mo, but in return, papangakuan ka naman ng increase. Okay, so increase in productivity. And then fourth one, we have the composite bargaining. So this is a negotiation that focuses on the number of elements that are not related to pay. They are generally related to employee welfare and job security. Okay, so in composite bargaining, usually hindi lang talaga kasi pay yung hinihingi or yung additional pay yung hinihingi ng labor union. They also ask for something. For example, the uniform. So maghihingi sila ng additional uniform, and the labor union also, they have this mga trainings outside. So yun, hihingi din sila ng fund for that, yung mga ganon. So it is not really all about the increase. May mga iba din kasi na hinihingi nila. So in this composite bargaining, hihingi nila yon. So ma'am, okay lang wag mong taasan. Okay lang wag mong taasan yung salary ko, ma'am. Basta bigyan mo lang ako ng ganito. Okay lang, ma'am, wag mong taasan yung salary namin. Basta bigyan mo kami ng training fund namin for this because we need this one. So parang ganon. Instead of asking for an increase sa salary nila, hihingi na lang nila yung mga ganung bagay. For, of course, what's the reason? For the welfare and job security. Kasi yung mga trainings nila, it can really add up information sa kanila para hindi sila maging stagnant. So, mga ganun. And then, lastly is we have the concessionary bargaining. So, based on unions giving back previous benefits to the employer. So, parang same lang din naman siya ng composite bargaining. But the only difference is that they are giving back the previous benefits to the employer in exchange of job security. So, concessionary bargaining, this is a term used in labor law actually. It is a kind of collective bargaining in which the trade unions surrender or give back previously gained improvement in pay and condition in exchange for some job security. So for example, may binigay si employer or parang may naagrihan na binigay sa kanya, but ibabalik niya in exchange of something. For example, si employer, for example, si labor union, parang binigyan siya ng tawag nito. Binigyan sila or naghingi sila ng kanilang sariling physician. For example, the labor union will ask, okay ma'am, bigyan mo kami ng sariling physician namin so that we can directly go to that physician when we are not feeling well. And then it was being agreed na close na yung deal niya. And then on the next year, kapag nagkaroon ulit ng negotiation, they will give it back to the employer for exchange of something. sasabihin nila, for example, ma'am, we will give back to you the physician that you have given to us in exchange of and health insurance. For example, in exchange of HMO. Parang mga ganon. Binabalik nila ang isang bagay in exchange of something para din sa security nila. Okay, that is concessionary bargaining. They are giving back in exchange of something in exchange of something. Okay, so after that is we have here the collective bargaining agreement. So kung kanina collective bargaining, so those are the process pa lang and the types. And now we have here the collective bargaining agreement already. Okay, so what is collective bargaining? Collective bargaining agreement, it is a written legal contract. Written legal contract between an employer and a union representing the employees. It is very clear, no? It is a legal contract. So, kontrata po siya between the employer and the union representing the employees. It is a result of an extensive negotiation process. So, yung mga process na discuss natin kanina, so ito na yung resulta niya. Process between the parties regarding topics such as wages, hours, and terms and conditions of employment. So yung nakapaloob po sa contract na to are the things na negotiate, those things that are being put into table, inagrihan ng employer at ng union representative. Ganun po siya. So usually yung laman nun are the wages, the hours, and the terms and conditions. So mga ganung mga bagay. So nandun po siya. This agreement was being agreed by the management and the labor union, or let me say the union representative. Okay, so yun siya, as you can see there, collective bargaining, it is between the worker and the employer. This is really an agreement between them. Okay, join union, support collective bargaining. Okay. So collective bargaining process. So there is also a process in a collective bargaining. First is that we have here the preparation for negotiation. Okay, so of course, kailangan talaga mag-prepare ng management at ng union representative para of course, ma-discuss talaga thoroughly yung mga bagay na gusto nating i-discuss, yung mga bagay na gusto nilang i-negotiate at gusto nilang i-put into table. Okay, so after the preparation for negotiation, we already have contract negotiation discussion. So after I prepare, we will now start to discuss the management and the labor union or the labor representative will now start discussing about the things na pinut nila in the table or yung mga things na gusto nilang pag-usapan. So yun siya, i-discuss na siya one by one. And after that discussion, we now have proposal of agreement or proposed agreement. So in this case or in this process, in this stage, there is already a proposal between the two parties, the management and the labor union. And after the proposal of agreement, we now have union ratification. Okay, sa collective bargaining process po kasi, yung attendees lang are the committee of the management or the management representative. For example, in Rose Pharmacy, usually yung nagiging representative ng management of Rose Pharmacy is si HR. Of course, nandiyan talaga si HR kasi ako yung tututok. And then we also have the top management, the managers, the area managers, para mga ganon. And then, while yung mga representative naman ng labor union are their officers kasi they will really select or elect, let me rephrase that, labor union will elect their union officer to be the representative. So nandiyan yung president nila, yung vice president nila, the secretary, the auditor, the board members, at lahat ng mga representative nila, including also, pwede nilang isama yung kanilang union director or yung talagang taga-union talaga. Okay? So, yun. So, ratification. When we say ratification, kailangan majority of their members will sign dun sa agreement para ma-ratify siya. Kasi wala naman sila nung time that we are doing the collective bargaining process. So they have to secure the ratification or majority signature kasi majority signature of their members. Okay, so after that, after na ratify, we will now proceed to the contract administration, which is yun na yung magiging next topic natin. Okay? Just to add with this collective bargaining process, after kasi ma-close ng agreement, after na nagkapirmahan na, so this agreement must be submitted to DOLE para talagang mabigyan siya ng certification at ma-acknowledge siya that nag-i-exist siya na union or na labor union. So the labor union, yes, the union must accomplish and notarize the application form. So ibibigay yun siya, ibibigay yun siya kay union para i-fill up niya yun, duly accomplished na form, and then that must be notarized. And then the signed copies also, they also have to secure the signed copies of the CBA kasi yung sa CBA kailangan siyang i-notarize, and then the union representative will need to sign also, and then on the management side kailangan din nilang mag-sign. So yun siya. And then the ratification. So it must be ratified. Majority of the members is kailangan talaga nilang mag-sign para ma-okay na yung CBA agreement, and then ma-register na siya sa DOLE. After that, before siya ma-duly registered kay DOLE, there is a payment of 1,000 pesos. After that, ipaprocess siya ng DOLE, and then the DOLE will give the certificate to the union signifying or stating that they are already registered to the regional office. Yon. And then after that, after the union ratification, contract administration. Okay. So that will be our next topic, the contract administration. Okay. So what is contract administration? Okay. So, but before that, let me share to you the picture. So this is during the CBA signing namin. So bago lang to, I really hindi ko masyadong familiar yung date, but recent, that's really very recent lang. I think that happened last year, 2020, in the midst of October, parang mga ganon. So yan. So this is the signing of CBA for our union in Davao. Kasi we have two types of union here in Davao. We have the Associated Labor Union, in South Mindanao pala rather. So we have the Associated Labor Union, and then we also have the Associated Labor Union Davao, and then the Associated Labor Union Nationwide, which is this Associated Labor Union Nationwide, dito po part yung East Visayas. Okay, so yan siya yung picture namin. And that are the representatives. So on the upper picture, so ito pong picture na to, these are the union officer of Associated Labor Union Davao. And these are the representative of the management. So these two girl here, these two young women here are the manager or the representative of the management. While these two people here, these are the employee of Rose Pharmacy na officer din ng union. So this girl is the union president and this guy is their vice president. Okay. So yun. So it happened last year. I think this is in the midst of October 2020. So I cannot remember the exact date. Okay, so union contract. So after that, yeah, nagpermahan na sila. So this must be, papermahan na siya or if ratified na siya, kailangan na siyang i-route sa mga union members para makaperma sila, signifying that they agree what is being agreed by the management and the labor union, ng labor union nila. Okay, after that, ipapasa na siya sa DOLE para it will be it will be recognized by them. Okay, after that, we have here the contract administration. This will be my last topic. Okay, contract administration as being defined by Mr. Google. Contract administration refer to the task or the function of ensuring that the contract between the client or the union and the contractor or the management is executed in accordance with the terms of the contract. Okay. So the term contract management, actually, the term contract management and contract administration were often confused for one another. So parang just like the negotiation and the bargaining, parang nai-interchange or parang usually parang nagiging synonymous na sila. Other people, usually most people will parang dinedefine sila as synonymous, but actually it's not. They are two different word. So because contract administration is the agreement while or before the contract is hindi pa nasasignan. Whereas si contract management is the process after na pirmahan or after na agree na yung contract. Okay? So the term contract management, as I said before, and contract management are often confused for one another or used interchangeably. But they actually represent different phases of overall contracting process because yun nga, they are different. To state, it is simply as possible. Contract administration is the work done before a contract is signed into effect. So yun yung sabi ko kanina, before pa napirmahan yung contract. So all the process na ginawa natin before the contract was signed, yun yung contract administration. Ina-administer natin para mapirmahan yung contract. Or the things that we do para magkaroon tayo ng close agreement para mapirmahan yung contract or yung CBA natin. So, yung lahat ng yun, tinatawag natin yun na contract administration. While the contract management covers everything done after signing the contract to ensure that deliverables and deadlines are adhere and outlined in the agreement. Okay? So balikan natin. All the things that we've done or all the things that we consider before the contract was being signed are the contract administration. While the things that we do or the things that we execute after the contract was being signed, that is already contract management. Okay, are you getting me? Why? Because it was being signed. So kaya contract management kasi mina-manage na natin. We make sure and see to it that lahat ng nasa contract is that ma-manage natin siya. So yan, as you can see there, the renewal, the negotiation, the approval, the execution. So this is the very term, the execution of the contract. So yun, kung talagang na-adhere ba natin kung ano yung nasa contract. So we see to it that na-manage natin siya. From the word itself, management. So we make sure and we see to it that we manage everything. So that is their difference. Okay, so I think my topic ends there. Now let me proceed to a case study. So I have prepared only one. So this is the wage increase. Why I choose wage increase? Because usually yun talaga yung parang nire-raise na concern during the CBA. Parang they are really wanted a salary increase. Of course, 'di ba, sino ba namang hindi? Okay. So, issue and concern, wage increase. And then statement of the problem, this is the problem here. Company X union members give a proposal to the management for 20% hike in their wages. The collective bargaining process was still ongoing. Okay, point of view, yung point of view ito ng management, yung mga tinitingnan niya, yung mga POV niya, bakit hindi niya mabigay yung hinihingi or bakit hindi niya mabigay agad yung hinihingi ng union. Okay, so I cited here 3. So the first one is that the input prices or the cost of raw materials, just like for example, the electricity, the water, etc., have gone up by 10%. The second one is due to competition, the company has to reduce the product price by 10%. And lastly, at the same time, the shareholders are expecting 5% more return from the existing 15%. So yun siya. So the areas of consideration, workers want wage increase. Shareholders want greater return on their investment. Input costs have gone up. And I also have here, company faces competition that forces them to reduce product price. And I can see that the alternative course of action, I have cited 2. In case increase in input costs. So pareha yung kanina, parang And then competition in price, they can be met by selling at the lowest profit margin but at mass level. So yun siya. Ibenta na lang yung mga in a lesser price but para bultuhan siya para makabawi din naman. Recommendation. So my recommendation is that reduction in wastage. Inventory kung hindi naman kailangan, i-reduce na lang siya. Inventory management, so this is very important to check kung ano ba yung nawala, kung ano ba yung natitira. Ganon. And then change in design of the product to save more materials kasi baka nagiging sobra na siya and then baka okay lang naman i-change yung design na kukunti lang yung kailangan niya. And then energy saving. So yun siya, that is really very important, the saving of energy. Malaking tulong po yun. And process and system improvement, updated technology kasi baka hindi updated yung technology, so see to it that it is updated para mas madali lang din yung process or kumbaga in Bisaya, mas paspas siya. And then application of various improvement tools, culture and additional change, and then plan of action must be ASAP or as soon as possible. Okay, so I think that ends my topic for this discussion. But before I end, let me leave you a quote by Martin Luther King. Okay, as per Martin, he said, the labor movement was the principal force that transformed misery and despair into hope and progress. Out of its bold struggles, economic and social reform gave birth to unemployment, insurance, old age pension, government relief for the disputes, and above all, new wage level that meant for mere survival but a tolerable life. Okay, that is from Martin Luther King. Okay, so yan si Martin. Okay, so just a short reflection for what Martin had quoted. Excuse me. Okay. So, as a management representative, and I can really say naman, not just for me, but I can really see that usually most of the company did not like union because they see union as a threat, and this is really necessary. Why? Because union really fight for the right. So yun siya, as per Martin, is that they are really not a threat because union exists to save those people na nasa lower na what do you call this one? Nasa lower level. Nasa lower level, labor union was there to protect for them because usually sila yung top management, yung lower management, yung parang hindi masyadong napapansin. So labor union was their channel or parang yung naging hope nila, parang yung naging voice nila to speak up for them, to be their counsel or ipaglaban sila dun sa top management para marinig yung boses nila. So for me, that was the point of Martin Luther King. It gives hope to the people. Labor union was a hope to people na hindi naririnig. Okay. So I think that would be all for me. Thank you and have a good day. God bless us all.